Welcome everyone to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keene. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out. Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, and wherever you're watching from, please make sure to like, share, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And remember, the number one way to support us is by sharing. So share this to your social media, share it to the groups you belong to, all that good stuff. And I am taking a little nightly stroll here in Cincinnati, Ohio. So if you're in the chat, whenever you come in here, let me know if you can hear me and you can see me clearly. I just want to make sure that I'm getting a good signal and everybody can hear me and see me. If you can't, I guess I'll go back to the house and hop on the computer here. But it's just been a beautiful day here in Cincinnati. It's been like 70 fucking degrees all day. We're going to be talking about thinning the herd. This is the depopulation agenda, the depop plot, as I like to call it. You're going to have to also use your imagination, as we talk about some things here tonight, because the sensitive nature of this subject matter, depopulation in general, a lot of the platforms that we'll be streaming on tonight definitely frown upon this shit. So I don't want to get this video blocked or get strikes or all of that. I want people to actually be able to watch it. Also, if you would like to book a personal tarot reading, all the links are in the description. I won't go through all of it, but you can text 513-393-2396 or email therealbestdampodcast@gmail.com. Donate, support, PayPal, Cash App, Facebook Messenger, or join us over on Patreon. Get access to our private and uncensored content. And we got a long list of that shit because everything seems to get blocked these days, right? Watch out for spiders, my boy. Yeah, dude. Hey, I've been bit by brown recluse twice in my life. I don't know why the fuck that happens, bruh, but it does. So we're over on, and hopefully we'll start to get some more people, and we'll start to get some of the notifications coming out here. This will be a long walk, so we're going to be chatting for a minute, and we're going to be talking about a lot of the different stuff here, so buckle up. And I will be watching the chat. I can see the chat on this device. You can hear and see me. That's awesome. Thank you, Graceful Heart. I see Melopredia Britannica. I've seen a few people in here. I just want to say what's up to all of you guys. We are streaming on both of the Facebook channels, John Keene and the Best Damn Podcast. We're streaming on Best Damn Podcast Official on YouTube, as well as Best Damn Podcast 2 on YouTube, and on X, we're streaming on Real Best Damn. So, yeah. You can go watch that wherever, and this will be posted in all those places as well. All right. So, where do I start here? Where do I start? It's hard to really speak to people these days because people are so fucking sensitive. Right? Everywhere you look, everywhere you go, at least this is my feeling. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody thinks they're right. Basically about everything. You got kind of two groups of people basically at the end of the day. Biblically, spiritually, they like to separate it into wolves and sheep and all that. I feel like both of those sides, though, in my opinion, both the wolves and the sheeps are both brainwashed. They're both mind controlled by the system. Religion, in fact, is one of the most detrimental things to our society in an intellectual sense, right? In a morality sense, I feel like religion brings a lot of good things to us, It teaches us to be selfless. It teaches us to serve others, and at one point, in the history of humanity throughout the cycles, I feel like we really did need that shit. Those commandments and all of that kind of like kept us grounded. Motherfuckers couldn't even read. So and they were getting, and even back then, the churches were schooling their asses, telling them that the Bible told them to obey their masters and all of this. And if you ever looked at the Geneva Bible as opposed to the King James Bible, which you're always going to get the Bible thumpers that are going to tell you, oh, I'm only reading the King James version, right? Like, that's what they say. But there's a Geneva version of the Bible. And in that version, a lot of the translations that Mr. fucking King James actually took out and changed, And one of those things, when it's talking about the principalities, powers, and dominions of this world, the things that we actually battle, because we know that everything is energy, everything is consciousness, right? So everything that we're actually up against is a projection of ourself. It is an expression of our alignment within ourselves, right? Everything we are aligned to, we will attract within our lives. It's just that simple, So the principalities, powers, and dominions is talking about the dimensional aspect of reality and the things that you are, in fact, attracting and repelling from yourself. Because each of these have archetypes. That's why we call them deity, right? It's characteristics to explain this energy. What end of the polarity it's on, whether it's distorted or a high polarity, it doesn't matter. But it also talks about the governors of this world, the powers of this world. So how conveniently they take that part out, right? King James, think about a king, do you think that somebody like a monarch would actually want people to know that their spiritual text said, you're also fighting against the government, basically, right? You're also fighting against the government, because that would have meant him, And then we wonder why movements like the Anonymous movement and the Guy Fawkes mask, why that even exists, right? See, Guy Fawkes actually got in trouble. He was trying to blow up Parliament. Why was he trying to blow up Parliament? Well, because King James was changing the Bible. Now it makes a lot more sense when you know what was actually happening and how it was being altered, And I'm not trying to get too off topic, but I'm just trying to, create a point here for people, We are told in these books to obey our governments, right? That basically God put these people in charge, Matter of fact, if you look at the things that are taking place in the Middle East right now, in particular Israel, most of Christianity, which is the largest religion in the world, believe that Israel is God's chosen people. It's God's holy people, The reason being because they have a misunderstanding or a mistranslation of what Israel actually means. If we look at the etymology of the word and the Hebrew meaning, it means he who wrestles with God, right? God meaning supreme one, supreme magistrates, Elohim, supreme angels. He who wrestles with the supreme angels is the true translation. What are the supreme angels? Those are the principalities, powers, and dominions, right? So basically, this is somebody that is overcoming the powers of this world and the dark powers, and the energies all around us, Israel is you. It's me. It's everyone that is fighting a spiritual battle within themselves, trying to grow, evolve, ascend, and become something more. It's not a fucking political state ran by satanic Zionists, And, people that really push these religions would read what the books actually say. They tell you to judge something by its fruits. When you're blowing up fucking thousands of kids, I think that's enough evidence to show you that you've probably been deceived, But yet, at the same time, most people believe that, most government is benevolent, they're here to protect us, they're here to serve us. And I guess in, an idealistic way, and in the true meaning, in the true sense of the word, or the true, what it was meant, in the name of liberty, which is a Luciferian principle, by the way. The founding fathers were, in fact, Luciferian. When you look at the Statue of Liberty, that's Columbia, which also is Libertas, Prometheus, Hecate. She's got about a billion different names. That's why she's got those spikes on her head, right? She's holding the flame of Prometheus in her hand, which stands for enlightenment. Lucifer being a title. It's illumination. That's where the principles of liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and all of this that we built our nation came from. That's why you see Masonic symbolism on every statue, every city you go to. I don't give a fuck where you go. All of like our real, like our real temples, our real statues, our real monuments were all built by the Freemasons, and the architecture of most of our major cities was laid out by the Masons. And that's what's even left of the architecture. Most of the major cities in the United States have also been burnt to a fucking crisp. Why is that? Because they want you to believe you were a fucking caveman in 1900. That the government you have now, that the powers that exist now are like, better than they've ever been. That you live in a modernized society that we've never reached some pinnacle or peak to the place we are now. But if we looked at the actual truth of the system, and we looked at our past, our history, just like the pyramids and the things like that, that should be enough to tell you that we've ascended to way higher places than we currently are, right? Not only do those people have the understanding of architecture and things like that just fucking transcend all of our abilities nowadays, they laid these things on, geomagnetic ley lines, energy lines, and create the energy grid across the entire earth. Tell me they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. You can't even slide a quarter between a lot of these rocks on these monuments either. It looks like they were fucking laser cut. That's how the angles of them are. We couldn't do that today. A lot of the materials that they got to create these things too don't even come from the fucking area that they're in. It'll be like a quarry, 100 fucking miles away, and it's like we're supposedly beating everything with sticks and stones and shit. It's like it doesn't make sense. We obviously had some type of sound technology to be able to use magnetics, electromagnetism, and move these things. And we hear about the civilization of Atlantis. Matter of fact, a lot of people in the New Age or Theosophical societies believe that we are trying to create a new Atlantis here in the United States. And that is another idea of Luciferian principles. Which, when I say that word, a lot of people, because of the neuro-linguistic programming, that word has a negative connotation to them. So when they hear Lucifer, they automatically think evil. When they hear Satan, they automatically think evil because they don't understand what the actual truth of those ideologies are based on and what they truly mean. Most people, when they hear of a Satanist, the Ajiji may have been the builders. The Ajiji, I'll get into that in just a moment. But when we're talking, and I've talked about this too in my Mysteries of the God series, how every single civilization had these different levels of gods. We went from primordials to titans to Olympians. We had the Asir and the Vanir in the Norse mythology. We had the Elohim and the Nephilim, in Hebrew. We had the Anunnaki and the Ajiji, right? There's always these levels. I feel like these are actually levels of humanity, right? Ages of humanity. Think about the age of Aries. Think about the age of Taurus, right? Primordials would probably be the Taurian age, Then you think about the ethereal beings, a fire being, right? When we're all worshiping, the ram, Marduk and shit. Yahweh, this masculine energy, That would be Aries, the Aryan age, right? Then we go into the age of Pisces, which is an age of water, where we go from an ethereal, magical being that has an extended consciousness. And this great deluge, this great flood, was really an astrological cycle that had changed, where we switched elements as a species. We mutate and change every time. And now we are in an air age, the age of Aquarius, right? And we're changing again. That's why religion is losing its power, you know? And if you think about the different ways these gods were described, too, it's kind of akin to what our abilities would be if our genetic makeup was of that particular element, right? You know, Christ walking on water, right? Christos means the anointing, right? It's actually, a spiritual anointing, okay, that our brain produces from the sacred secretion that allows us to command the body, right, which is the water, the physical, the world. We're made up of 70% water. The earth is made up of 70% water. That's the walking on water, right? In a nutshell. I mean, there's more to it, but it's also the mastering of emotions and mastering of the self, and then we look at, this age of fire where, they go up on Mount Sinai and, they have a burning bush, and then he comes down and everybody's worshiping this fucking golden calf. And it's like, yeah, why is that? Right? Why were they doing that? They're trying to describe to you, right? They're trying to describe to you what age they were in and what time it was. And that burning bush was an age of fire, right? It was a fire age, an age of illumination. Fire is magic, right? That's why Moses always could do magical shit with his staff turning into the serpent. That's a caduceus. That's our spinal column, the kundalini raising. Hopefully I don't get ran over here. That's exactly what that was, and so on and so on. And Taurus, we know that is akin to Venus. Now think about the age before that, right? All of the Venusian societies, and all of the divine feminine and Inanna and Isis and all of this matriarchal energy, right? Everybody putting shit on copper and everything like that, right? Then all of a sudden we go to the masculine, and we're warring. We get like a fucking deity that's judging everybody, going to war, busting everybody's head, right? Here, you can have one. Hold on, guys. You're cool. Yep. So, we go from one age to another. And then, we go to, which is the age of Horus, was the next aeon is the age of Horus, which is the child. That's the two combining. The Piscean age, the water age, is two fish, right? Representing duality, polarity, as above, so below, right? Feminine, masculine, left, right, black, white, right? Whenever we look at like the Masonic squares and all of that, that's what that represents as well too. That's why you see when all of the awakening shit was happening, everybody was putting up the 1111. That's what the black and white checkerboard floor actually symbolizes, is 1111. If you take, you're cool. If you take numerology and you put the numerical value of the word black, right, and then write it out, it adds up to 11. Same thing with the word white, right? Adds up to 11. So that's the 1111, right? That's a master number in numerology. It has influence. It's a beginning and opening of a gateway. That's why people that are 11s, are usually like, they're usually very influential people, or people that can speak, or very charismatic. Just the same thing like with the 22. That 22 is the next master number, which is 2 11s, 11 11, right? And it's about the builder, right? So they have both the power of the 11 and the 22, and then so on. The 33, which is why they said Jesus was 33, right? They wanted to carry the influence to the age. 33 is the most influential number in numerology. So they pegged him as 33. That's why there's 33 degrees in masonry. On the 32nd degree, you are you're told that you are your own king, right? Of your own world and your own reality. right? You're anointed as your own Messiah, basically, right? Liberated into your 33rd degree. And isn't it awful funny, too, that they all worship Lucifer at the same time, right? How many people actually understand that the archetype of, Jesus and Lucifer are just two dualities of the same person, you know? But let me cross the street here, y'all. Get hit by a fucking car. So, now when to kind of like get into, depopulation, the reason that we come to these beliefs and these conclusions as a whole is like, first one of the things that are propagated or extremely propagated is that the world is overpopulated, right? The world is overpopulated. There's too many of us, and we're so shitty, and our cars are so bad, and all of this that we're poisoning the planet, climate change, global warming, right? All of that shit. Little do they ever tell you that if you look at like the fucking soil records, the geological data on planet Earth, that the climate changes time and time again. Like we go from warm to cold, warm to cold. We have ice ages. We have, tropical periods. All of this shit. This is like a regular occurrence. A regular occurrence. It's got nothing to do with you. Do you think that you even have enough impact on this bitch to change and shape the world? You come from it. You come from it. You're made of it. You're supposed to be here. You're part of the ecosystem. But that's all part of the psychological warfare. It's to make you feel like you don't belong here. That's what the whole alien agenda and shit is about too. It's like, you come from ancient astronauts, right? You migrated here. You don't belong here. Earth isn't really your home. The gods brought you here. They seeded you here. They planted you here. You were the gods. You were the gods. You were the angels. You are God. You were the primordial elements. You were all of it. You are consciousness experiencing itself. Having self-awareness, having a human experience. So, what a lot of the things that we see too is like when, they create these ideas, telling us that there's too many people, telling us that there's too many people, telling us that we're overpopulated. This is that idea that feeds into the whole useless eaters thing, right? This is that idea that feeds into the whole profane thing, right? And this is what they're trying to turn all of us into. I just want to kind of put this out there for you guys too. And I've said this a lot and it pisses people off. I don't really care. But this is why they push that New Age agenda so hard. And it's not that New Age doesn't have truth in it. It actually does. Lots of truth. A lot of the spiritual practices that are involved in it are absolutely true. Hey, Jack. I see Jack Talcott in here. Y'all go subscribe to Jack's channel. Me and Jack are going to be collabing here soon. So make sure you're hitting the thumbs up and shit too. You're on YouTube or Facebook or all that good shit. So the whole useless eaters concept and the profane concept, that's what you call spiritual narcissism, right? That's why they create these memberships and these clubs and these fraternal orders. They want you to feel like, and that's why they hide knowledge from all of us, because if they keep the knowledge from you, first they keep you dumbed down, dulled down. You're unaware of how everything works around you. So you are puppeted your entire fucking life, programmed your entire fucking life. That's why it's called television programming, right? They're literally programming you. And what's crazy is like we think that we create our own ideas and our own ideologies, and we think we create our own identities, and we don't. We don't. We're just stepping into, a pre-made box or a label that they've created for us. It's like when people, dress gothic or something. They act like they're fucking rebelling against the system. No, that's a controlled rebellion. They did that because they knew you would want to feel like an outcast. So they created a label for you to wear. Same thing with all the different religions. Like, oh, okay. Well, this one doesn't work for you. Well, we'll give you this religion where you can have 10 wives, right? Instead of one. It's like people don't understand it though. And the people that actually run the world, they understand these things. That's why you never see them following any of these principles. They live like fucking kings. They live like stars. They live like they own this place because they do. And so do you. This is your inheritance, right? You've just given it up. A lot of us have. you know we've traded it. We've traded it for the comforts of society. We've traded it for the comforts of home. We've traded it for 401ks, cushy 9 to 5s, 40-hour work weeks. You know, we've traded it for a 3-bedroom house and a 1-car garage and a fucking fenced in yard. That's what we traded it for. You could have had all of those things without trading it, though. You're so abundant and so you can manifest and create and attract anything that you wanted into your life. And you could have done anything that you wanted with your life without their assistance. Do you think we need people to police us? Where do you think people even get these distorted fucking, base ideas to, maim and kill and all of these things? Where do you think they get these ideas? The programming, all the fucking horror and the gore and the shit that's shoved down their throat from the time they can see. We're not inherently evil. We're inherently good. That's why they have to work so damn hard to make you believe that you ain't worth a fuck. That's why they have to work so damn hard to make you feel like a parasite on this earth instead of a natural part of the ecosystem. The term goyim actually derives from the word golem. A golem is an inanimate clay being, inanimate clay object that can be manipulated or used by someone with a soul. So what that tell you about an ideology right there? If everybody but them, that particular group, they believe they're the only one with the soul. Everyone else to them is inanimate, meaning without a soul, right? To be used like a voodoo doll, basically, a human voodoo doll. And you wonder why they don't feel, like shame and guilt, and their consciousness isn't bothered by the things that they do to all of us, you know. Why they have sayings like means justify the end and all of that. And every form of these fraternal orders, which are brotherhoods, you know, they swear these oaths, right? And these oaths are beholden to not just one another, but they're supposed to be beholden to principles. But here's what happens, they lure you in with these beautiful principles, everything that sounds good. But the brotherhood itself supersedes the principles, right? So basically, you're not supposed to be immoral. You're not supposed to lie. And this is just in some fraternal orders, right? So they make you think you're joining something good, that you're going to be a good member of society. You're about to do good and beautiful things. But then at the same time, you're never allowed to betray a brother. You're always supposed to help a brother. So what happens when your brother's a sack of dog shit? He's murdering people. It's against this oath you swore on your soul to turn him in, to tell on him, to do anything like that. That's why it says in the Bible to not swear any oaths, right? To not swear any oaths. Anybody that needs your absolute fealty to give you knowledge or information, I can fucking promise you, doesn't have your best interest at heart. Knowledge should be free for those that are actually seeking it with a true heart and true intentions, in my opinion. you know Back in the ancient days of Egypt, people would travel from all over the world to the Great Pyramid to learn the mysteries, right? They were accepted because they were willing to go there. They were willing to put in the work to do the journey, to make it. You know, all the greatest minds went there. Today, we're treated as if you're not born of a certain bloodline, if you don't belong to a certain political party, all of these different things, that you're not worthy, to know your inheritance, to know your power, to know your ability, and to know your own reality. But see, they can't keep these things hidden forever, and that's why it's now starting to come to the light, and everybody's starting to see all of this. We've seen an agenda. They've done everything from poisoning our fucking water, poisoning our air with chemtrails. You guys know, over the last few years with the C-19 and the graphene and all the craziness that was going into that, and just how nefarious that was at a base level. Like, if we look at, how nefarious that was, graphene with its magnetic properties, and then your pineal gland being the magnetic pole of your body. What do you think they were trying to destroy? That's your spiritual antenna, right? The whole 6 feet apart from everybody, right? 6 in front, 6 on the side, 6 on the side, 6, 6, 6, right? Why? Also because your heart, being the next biggest magnetic component of your body, which is, the seat of your soul, generates the largest electromagnetic field of your body, and it has a 6-foot radius, right? So if they can destroy your antenna to receive your spiritual information, your downloads, and all of that, and then they can destroy the actual auric field that you have that allows that antenna to be transmitted and protected, essentially to destroy the spiritual nature of you. They destroy you. They destroy your ability to receive messages. They destroy your ability to telegraph them to other people. They destroy your ability to protect yourself from negative energy. They destroy your ability to project positive energy. Do I know anything about wide body area network? Yeah, I know. I don't know what's up with these chats, man. I don't know what's up with these chats lately. Really weird. Across the street. I don't see the notifications even go out on a lot of the platforms. It's weird. And also at the same time, you gotta also think, like I was saying about the whole illumination enlightenment thing, and how they've created spiritual narcissists by making them feel like elitist, right? That's the whole thing. It's playing towards, the ego and not the spirit, right? That's the nature of it. To make you feel like you're elite, you're above others, you're elect, you're chosen, right? Why they always call themselves that. You're the remnant, you're the descendants of the gods, so you feel like you're higher, you're on an upper echelon in society, and you're treated that way. You're treated that way. You get all of the benefits, money, women, right? All of those things, fame, all of that. And they want to do that. That way you feel like, what's plaguing the world is the people that don't know, and it's true. That is what's plaguing our world. For lack of knowledge, surely my people will perish. So that's definitely what's plaguing our world. But the reason it's plaguing our world is because the people that do have oppressed and suppressed the knowledge for so long, and then taken what they've known and used it against the people that don't, So it's not exactly like these people are just, terrible fucking human beings with no sins, You've literally intentionally done this to them. Not only them, but their ancestors, their ancestors' ancestors. And when I talk about it, it's like, why people don't get more passionate when they think they've shit on every generation of your fucking family, dude. every generation of your family. They spanked your daddy, your granddaddy, your great-granddaddy's ass with this shit, and now they're getting you too. You know, why are you not more passionate about these things? Why is this not important to you? It's like, do you like your servitude? I feel most people do. They have this Stockholm syndrome where they love their captor. You know, they wouldn't do that to us. No, you wouldn't do that to them, right? So you think that they wouldn't do that to you, but they obviously do, and they have. That's why everything that gets declassified through the Freedom of Information Act 25 fucking years later, and you know why? Because a generation has passed and the people that they fucked over and killed and brainwashed and harmed and all that are gone. You know, so nobody will truly be pissed off about it when it actually comes out. It has nothing to do with national security. Well, maybe it does, because people would fucking revolt if they knew what was going on presently. But people are cowards. You know, they're afraid to speak out. And not just afraid to speak out because they're afraid what their government will do. They're afraid what their fucking neighbor thinks. Ego's a powerful drug. Ego is a powerful, powerful drug. The internet's a powerful drug. You know? I've never seen it. And you know what? We've become this materialistic, atheistic society. And it's sad to watch. I feel bad for, our children, but the truth is, most of us don't give a fuck about the future generations or our children. We just care about right now and our instant gratification and, what's going on within ourselves and our lives and our little sphere. That's all we care about. We don't try to fight for the future. That doesn't affect us today, so why would we give a shit? Right? But the truth is, they're sterilizing you. There probably won't be much of a future. Do you know males, like 50% male sterility now? Like, it's just insane, right? Everybody having fucking erectile dysfunction, everybody having sterility problems, fertility problems, right? And we think it has what? Nothing to do with the genetically modified shit they put in your food? All the poison and chemicals they spray on your fruit and vegetables, right? The nanoparticulates that they're pouring out of the fucking sky? The mercury they're putting in their shots? The shit they're requiring you to fucking bust your brain cells with from the time you can fucking talk, walk, breathe, and require your parents to do it too, or they go to jail. They require for you to do it also to even go to school. And guess what? If you don't go to school and get your indoctrination education, you have not a snowball's chance in hell of being anything in society. And then when you finally do graduate the first level of indoctrination, then you can put yourself in debt for the rest of your fucking adult life to go to a university to be radicalized, right? And you'll pay for it. You'll pay for that radicalization, that extremism. You'll pay for that. Where they turn your whole fucking world upside down and you go to a George Orwellian dystopian society where all of a sudden it's the news speak and all this, right? Words start to lose their meaning. They start to lose their power when they lose their meaning, which is why they do that, right? That's why they have shit like mumble rap and all this. It's to dumb you down. It's to dumb you down. They teach you that, and all of these tactics too to destroy the nuclear family. And the reason being is because, a family unit creates stability and it creates a balanced adult. If you grow up in a loving family, you have a way more higher likelihood of being a balanced, good, intelligent, morality-based person. And it's facts. It's facts. But they want to take one or the other away from you, single parents. Whether it's the mother or the father, they don't give a fuck. Because, if you're, a male and you have no father figure, you're going to grow up a piece of shit, not knowing how to be a man. And if you're a female growing up without a father, you're going to have daddy issues and vice versa, right? The other way around. It's fucked up. And then they do, You know, and the whole feminism shit too. Thank you. You know, and the whole feminism shit too. It's like we think that we're fighting for our women. We're degrading and destroying feminism in our women. And I hate to tell you, the New Age movement and these fake fucking spiritualists, these spiritual narcissists that talk about the divine feminine all the time make me want to puke in my fucking mouth. You know? It's like they've fallen for the propaganda, which the propaganda is to attack the masculine and create more division. They're just polarizing you to the opposite side. You know, why? Like, it's like, have you not fucking figured out yet? Like, the whole Democrat, Republican, red, blue, left, right, you know, two wings of the same bird. Same thing with the, you know, the masculine, feminine shit. Oh, the patriarchy this and oppression that. And, you know, it's like, you bitch ass motherfucker. Do you not understand? Like, you know, you know, and I'm not saying like there weren't things that weren't right. You know, women should be able to vote. They should have all the equal opportunities, all of that. Absolutely. They should have the choices to do what they want to do with themselves and their bodies. Absolutely. You know, and I feel like our country was founded on equal rights, equal opportunities. I feel like, you know, gay couples and all of that should have the same benefits of marriage as straight. You know, every religion should be respected and allowed. Like, that's true liberty. That's true freedom, right? You know, that's what we're supposed to be. You know, it's what we're supposed to be about. But they indoctrinate these women into thinking like they're weak or unaccomplished if they become a wife or if they have children instead of a career. It makes me sick, man. Then these women get in their fucking 30s and they have no kids, right? No husband, you know. And then like their biological clock ticks. See, men, dude, we can shoot those bastards out, you know, until we die. You know? Like we can always shoot babies out. You know, and think about the birth rates too, and how many women now don't have children by the time they're 30. It's astronomical. Why do you think that is? You know, it's like that's their God-given gift. Women are blessed to do something that men just cannot, we can't do it, which is create life, carry life within us. Why do you think, and that's why masculine and feminine go together so well. You know, masculine's more of the power of death, protection, right? Control, right? But in a healthy sense, it's about a patriarchal energy that creates the stability and the security around the feminine. That way it has the ability to be intuitive and creative and, you know, create fertility and abundance in life. You know, everybody wants to associate it with, you know, the toxic shit that they see, you know, the God of their Bible doing. You know, like, I'm a jealous, angry God. I'm going to set you on fire, motherfucker. You know? Yeah, that's called toxic masculinity. And, you know, the whole God thing, if you think about where that even derives from, it derives from Gadriel, right? Which is Satan. That's his angelic name. Lucifer's is Hellel, right? And when people say hell isn't real, hell actually came from the Norse, right? And it is an actual dimensional place, right? It's a distorted base dimensional aspect of consciousness, a lower, lesser frequency. So, you know, and it's like when people, you know, I love how everybody on the internet, you know, never picks up a goddamn book, you know, and thinks that you know, they have all the answers now. It's like, oh, here, let me tell you all about life. Let me tell you all about this, and I'm never going to actually read anything and find out if any of it's actually true. You know, there's a such thing as trusting your intuition. We're all supposed to do that, guys. but like and this is one of the things. This shows you what a fallen state of society is in when we start to ignore the elders' wisdom, which is what ancient and spiritual text actually is. That's the elders, previous generations, wisdom. And if they were at a higher level of society than us and they were building fucking pyramids and, you know what I mean? They were kicking it with magical giants. What is the possibility that they actually knew more than your punk ass? You know? It's probably pretty damn good. Probably pretty good. Maybe you might want to read a few of the lines and see what they were saying. I wouldn't suggest going and getting the interpretation from, some pastor who, went to a seminary school and got a theology degree, belongs to some, Christian alliance and, pays dues into that and has, doctrines that he has to teach you that because he himself was brainwashed and indoctrinated into, you know, he's never used the spirit to divine anything in his fucking life. He's only allowed to regurgitate what he was taught. If not, he loses his shit and his flock and everything. That's why, people that do the Bible pounding so much are so dogmatic, and churches and organized religion would fall the fuck apart, right? Without that. They have to have that. That's why they say, God's word is breathed in the Bible. Well, if that's true, then why was it altered and changed so many fucking times? Why did the Roman pagans, right, actually put the canon that you're reading today together through the Council of Nicaea and take out like basically every book, right, that we now call Gnostic text, which Gnostic means gnosis, knowledge, knowing, right? Including, the book of Enoch, which we also removed, which is, I believe it's referred to in fucking Jude and all different in all different types of books in the Bible. It was actually found with the Dead Sea Scrolls and, so many other things, and it's in the Ethiopian Bible, which is older than ours also. And like I said, the King James, which, they actually altered the Geneva because it said shit about not obeying the government and all of that, right? Just saying. And they called all those things apocryphal text. Yeah. You know why? What's an apocalypse? What's an apocalypse? Anybody know what an apocalypse is? It's a revealing. It's a revealing. So what's an apocryphal text? Think about it. These are the agendas. These are the agendas. And if you look at like the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, which I can't, not on the public platforms, I can't speak very much about this shit because we know why. But we see that they have these certain protocols that talk about putting heavy metals in the fucking cereals and all the other things, the medications, and and it's like this is to dumb us down, to make us sick, to make us weak, to make us dependent upon the system. To make us dependent upon the system, to feel like we need the system. Without the system, we'll all fall apart. Our world will fall apart. Do you know how many people today live in fear of the end? Do you know how many people literally live in fucking fear of the end? Like, if the grid goes down, if China invades, right? Why is that? Why are they truly afraid? Does anybody have any clue why they're truly afraid? Because they wouldn't have their God government to tell them how to live and how to exist. They wouldn't have their God government, to tell them how to live their lives, to run them like they have their entire existence. They're afraid of seeing what society would be like if we policed ourselves. They're afraid of seeing what society would be like if we all had our own trades, our own knowledge. And just like back in the day, right? when you had a son or something and he became a teenager or whatever, whatever he wanted to do, you sent him over to the blacksmith's house to go live, and he went and learned how to become a fucking blacksmith. You know, he didn't have to go to university. He worked his ass off for that man to learn his trade, right? And he got to stay and eat and learn something that was going to take care of him and his family for the rest of his life. And if you had the means, you could go to the higher learning as well. Think about the ancient monarchs and those type of people in those societies. They never stopped learning, dude. They would go from every science, astrology, everything. They got everything that they could. They got everything that they could, right? That was funny. He was like, They got everything they could out of life. They soaked up every bit of knowledge. Think about like people like Nostradamus, a physician. Dude, a physician didn't just, study medicine. He studied the stars. He studied mathematics. He studied history. He studied energy, metaphysics. He studied it all because they knew that it all worked together. They knew that. And if you think they don't still know that today, and that's how they're targeting you to take you out. And I just did a video on mind control and targeted individuals the other day. Speak up. They got a plan for that. They'll make your life a living fucking hell. They'll put you in fear, so much so that you'll never speak out again. And then you'll get online and tell everybody about how abused and how traumatized you were, so they won't think about it either. And how there's no stopping it, no countering the things that they do. If that's true, how come it stopped for me? I experienced it for a couple years. Why did it stop for me? Do you want to know why it stopped? Because I stopped believing they had power over me. I stopped buying into the fucking illusion that I lived in a satanic one world system where I was just, under their guise and control all the time. And that this all-seeing eye dominated my fucking life. I stopped believing it. And my world changed. My reality changed. Everything lost its power. I stopped fearing death. That's how they hold us to a lot. That's why we still want police and all of those things. Don't matter how many of our fucking loved ones they kill. Shoot you if you pull out your fucking cell phone or wallet. Would you actually need them if you had your Second Amendment right to protect yourself? And would that be enough of a deterrent to keep, if everybody was able to protect themselves, wouldn't that be enough of a deterrent to keep everyone from, basically acting right if they know they'll blow your fucking ass off if you didn't? See, that's like back in the day, like you stole something, they cut off your hand, shit like that. People didn't steal very much. They valued that fucking hand. I'm not saying it has to be that way. I'm just saying there was a reason we were like that. We didn't tolerate it. We damn sure didn't promote it. We damn sure didn't, put it on a pedestal to be a thug or a gangster, a deadbeat, or a fucking hoe or whatever. That's why they want you to be like sexually promiscuous and shit like that. They don't want you to ever be able to hold down a relationship, because if you could do that, then you could hold down a family. If you had a family, you would have a partner to lean on. Your children would have parents to guide them. They grew up principled with morals. If they didn't encourage all the nonsense and bullshit, people wouldn't think it was like a great thing to sell drugs. And, the government didn't flood our neighborhoods and our streets with the shit through the CIA just so they could create rehabilitation systems, jail systems to put you in after the fact. Right? Which is more indoctrination. You might as well call those fucking internment camps because that's what they are. You ever heard somebody with like the 12-step shit? You know? And I'm not saying it doesn't save people's life and it don't fucking help people and it doesn't change their world. Some people, it's done amazing things for them, and I'm not knocking you if it's done it for you. Good for you. But it is a form of brainwashing. If you studied spiritual principles, it tells you to do the same shit. The whole fearless moral inventory and, all of it. All of it. It's called taking accountability for your actions. It's called self-awareness. It's called self-love. And I'm not talking about the new age, airy-fairy version of self-love, which is really spiritual narcissism disguised as self-love. Where we call it self-love to deny those in need around us. Where we call it self-love to ignore atrocities and to turn a blind eye to everybody being harmed and victimized because it's going to bring our vibration low. Self-love, right? What about being selfless and love for others? Doesn't your world revolve around you enough? That's how they get us too. Like every trick they pull on us, they do it through our ego. They know that you're so intoxicated by feeling good that you're going to do everything they lure you into to do it. Right? They know if they tell you that it makes you beautiful to, go fuck everybody, you're going to go do it and catch AIDS. Have 10 kids you can't take care of. Right? They know if they tell you it's going to make you a thug and popular or sell dope, you're going to go do it. They know if they tell you that people that really care about animals, are vegan and they're eating soy and shit like that, which is really like causing crazy damage to males. And we wonder why we're all sterile now. But they don't think about the pesticides that they spray on those plants that destroy 10 million times the amount of animals you could ever fucking eat in a year. But they don't see that. See, when we don't see it, it doesn't bother us. That's why, you get those commercials like, will you save this child's life for 50 cents a day? It's like you feel bad as fuck for that moment. You might even send the 50 cents, dude. You might. Some of y'all might. And then you feel like you've done your good deed for the day, which really you just gave it to a fucking, corporation, probably a 501c3, who takes 98% of what they get, and only like, I'm serious, it really is like 1% or something goes to the actual people. It's something insane. Anybody like ever seen, what like a lot of these corporations that are supposed to be helping people and shit actually do with that money? It will blow your fucking mind. You'll be disgusted by it. You'll be disgusted. You feel like you've done your good deed, then the commercial goes off, you go back to eating your fucking french fries. You'll drive past 10 homeless people on your way to McDonald's. And you might even yell out your fucking window like, hey, get a fucking job. I'm not giving him money. He just wants to buy beer. Probably. I would too if I lived outside. It's probably cold. my life would really suck. I probably want to get fucked up all the time. You know? We bring in migrants from other countries. Millions and millions and millions, and then we give fucking billions and hundreds of millions of dollars to fucking Israel and all these other nations to solve their problems, when really we could solve homelessness with half, a quarter, a tenth of the money that we send overseas. Like, there'd be nobody. Cute dog. Like, people never think about this either. And it's like, I heard some statistics and like kind of dig this. They say that with all of like the empty houses in America, we have so many, like empty houses that sit vacant in America. We could house the homeless like fucking 3 times over, right? Why wouldn't the government just pay for rent for homeless people? That way they could, have a roof over their head, With all the food that we throw away, right? And this is another stat. We throw away, America's, one of the richest nations in the world. We throw away, I think it's 1/3 of our food. And with that 1/3 of our food, we could feed the other 2/3 of the world that's actually starving. Wrap your head around that. See, in the book 1984, dude discovers something like with the superpowers. When he like finally like he joins basically like their version of the Illuminati, which is like this, this anarchist group, and it really ended up being a psyop to fucking lure out the dissenters so they could, torture them and kill them and capture them. Imagine that. And they were actually working for the government, kind of just like our reality now. And they claimed to like illuminate you to everything that was going on, and it was a secret brotherhood. And him and his girlfriend, they joined it, right? They're like, down with Big Brother. And he starts learning that whenever they had a surplus of food and shit, they were dumping it in the fucking ocean. And the reason being is because if they don't create lack or the illusion of lack, they had more than enough to feed everybody, But if they don't create the illusion of lack, then capitalism doesn't work. It doesn't work. People won't need the government if they have abundance. If they realize there's more than enough food to feed everybody. If they realize there's more than enough homes to house everyone. If they realize that the money that they believe is so fucking valuable, they sell their souls, their ass, and everything else for. If they realize that shit, that the only reason it has value is because you believe it does, then they would realize that you're paying somebody to basically be your God, tell you what you can and can't do, what you can and can't say, what you can and can't think, what you can and can't eat, where you can and can't go. And if you violate any of these conditions that you didn't agree to, officials that you didn't elect, and that the ones that did get into power, there was only 2 choices, and there were 2 state-sponsored choices by the evil fucks to start with. And these 2 choices, everything that they ran on, everything that they said was just to get in the door. And once they get into the door, they completely sell you out every time. And betray you a little more. Steal the wealth from the nation a little more. Undermine the system a little more. You would be tired of it. You would walk away from it. You would give up on it. It's like the story of like Pandora's box, Like Zeus, he played a trick on humanity. He was mad that Prometheus gave them the light. Fire, the divine spark, enlightenment. Which once again is Lucifer. Right? So Prometheus gets punished. They put him in eternity to get his liver torn out while he's, on a tree, on a cross. Right? Getting his liver ate out by an eagle every day. And it regrows and it comes back the next day, eats it out again. Because he wouldn't take enlightenment back from us. So he had to suffer for eternity. So he tells his brother, who made all the animals, he made us. tells his brother, he says they're trying to play a trick, you know. And he was so proud of us. Like, he just wanted us to have dominion over everything. He gave all the different gifts to all the animals. So he wanted us to have dominion over the earth, to be special. So he gave us a divine spark, and our world had peace. You know, we were enlightened. So Zeus got mad. He said, well, if you give this to them, I want them to make offerings to me. And I think I told this story the other day. So he takes a bull. Why? This was a Taurus age, right? He takes a bull, makes two piles. One huge pile of all the bullshit, one small pile of all the best parts. Knowing Zeus's ego, right? Zeus chooses the biggest pile, which is worthless, basically, and gives the good stuff to humanity. So Zeus gets pissed. He knows Prometheus. That's why he's known as a trickster, like Loki and Lucifer and all of them. You know, he knows he got tricked. Because he wanted us to not, he didn't think we had to worship them. We shouldn't be making, because they wanted human sacrifice, bro. They wanted us to offer ourselves to them and to worship them and to serve them. Right? So after he tricked them, he said, okay, I got you. And he gave him that punishment. He said, I'll take the punishment away if you take the enlightenment from him. And he said, no, I won't do that. So he told his brother, he said, they're going to try to trick you, to make you, hurt our creation. Once again, this is the story of the two brothers, right? Always. Enki, Enlil, Jesus, Satan. I don't care how you look at it, dude. Right? Even in the Hopi prophecy, it's two brothers. Right? Pagan Hoya and Palanga Hoya, right? So the brother, he's lonely, man. His big bro just, he's getting fucking tortured. So they send him a wife. I mean, Hermes makes her smart. I mean, all these fucking gods, Mercury, excuse me. They're all the same. But all these gods bless her with, like, Aphrodite makes her beautiful. Like, Athena makes her strategic. Like, just all of these great traits. She's a bad bitch, bro. And, Hermes presents him with this girl. So, of course, he takes her. He marries her. He's like, damn, thank you, guys. But she came with a gift, which was Pandora's box. Now, think about the box and how it's a symbolism of the cube, right? The Saturnus cube, the black cube, right? And that's why the whole concept of Jesus on the cross, that is a cube broken open. It's a cube broken open, right? That's what a cross is, right? That's why the Ankh and the cross stand for, life. So this box, this concept, which in the Masonic cube is 1 + 5, 1 + 5, 666. 666 also equals what? 60 seconds, 24 hours, 2 + 4 is 6, right? 666, it's time also. This is the Saturn moon matrix, right? Within the soul system. That's why the primordials and shit, those gods were Uranus and shit like that. They were outside of the range of Saturn. Go figure. Right? It's all astrology. How weird. And we know that on the North Pole of Saturn, he has a hexagon, right? Hexagonal, polygon. 6 sides, right? Which the hex, when you've been X'd or hexed out, you've been crossed, double crossed. And on his South Pole, he has the all-seeing eye. Right? The rings represent the orbit, right? Because we're all orbiting around him. He's Father Time, he's Kronos, right? Also. So, she has this box, which I believe, like I said, it represents Saturn and time and all of that. She opens the box to see what's inside once, her husband leaves. And when she opens it, it's Pandora's box. All of the evil, all of the darkness ever created comes pouring out. She can't shut this thing. She tries. Tries really hard, actually. But then at the bottom of the box, the very bottom, there's this little entity called Hope. And we hear the story and we're like told, like, oh, how beautiful. Like, hope was at the bottom of the box. You know, how lucky. We had hope. But hope was actually the deception by Zeus, right? It was that way we wouldn't give up and we would have faith in the gods, despite they're the ones who released the darkness on us for enlightening ourselves, for taking the enlightenment. It was so we wouldn't give up, and so we would still believe and believe in something higher. It was really like a trick, you know. Yes, it has its positives, but you have to understand what the real intent of it was. And when you hear all these stories of like the serpents in the garden, right? And these are also the two brothers, right? One says there's these two trees, you know, tree of knowledge of good and evil, which represents a Sephiroth, right? Um, which that's of the Kabbalah. These are the celestial spheres. You know, it's how our uh, reality is set up energetically, and the low sphere, the sphere that's where your genitals are, that's the moon. You know, the silver, where all the planets come together. That's why witchcraft always does workings under the moon. Okay, so they have the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. You know, you can eat from any tree but this one. And then the serpent, which is that Kundalini, right? You think about Caduceus, right? And his staff, and the two serpents crawling up the staff, the red and blue, the two brothers, right? These are also higher and lower. That's why we always have angels and demons and all of these. These represent dimensional aspects of ourselves. Earth, which it was called in the Norse mythology, is Midgard. It's Midgard because it's the middle place. It's the launching point dimensionally to jump either higher or lower. We can go either way we want, and either way is good or bad. It's whatever you want to do, bro. You know, if you enjoy the physical, you can polarize towards the physical and live in a more dense physical polarized society. Dimensional reality. If you polarize more towards the ether and ethereal reality, and you value that, then you can shoot that way. It's up to you. You know, both of it come together, along with all of the celestial spheres, which are the luminaries, and the planetary energies, which are the governors that create the rainbow, which is the covenant, and then the firmament, which is actually called an arc, right? That's the arc, right? The firmament of the covenant. The covenant is the rainbow, right? Which represents the seven chakras, seven planets, 7 days of the week, so on and so forth, right? It's just us being made up, us being a phantom or a projection of our higher selves down here. You know, the covenants we chose to project into a physical form with our higher energy, with our spirit self, right? That we call God. That's the deal. So we're serving, the spiritual creation. That's why everything derives from consciousness. That's why it's always like serving God and stuff. You can't help but do it because that's where the actual creation comes from. And then your persona, is that reflection of this middle ground, right? So that's the other part. You have a ka and a ba. You have a big soul and a little soul. You know, the big soul animates everything and strings it all together, and the little soul gives you individuality. You know, and we are so programmed now with all the new age shit that we act like it's bad to be an individual. Like, it's because they want you to be a robot, bro. I hope you know that. That's why they do that. That's why they tell you and shame you to death. If um, if you ever act like you're, proud to be an individual in any way, shape, or form, that's why they do that. You know, that's why they always have, created entities like the devil and shit like that. You know, to demonize the shadow aspect or the lower, lesser self. You know, that's actually the subconscious, and that subconscious, that shadow reflection, is what holds all of the information that comes from the higher self. That's what allows you to process and absorb everything, right? For you to be able to then discern it and project it into the reality. Which remember, universe is you inverted, right? It's an inversion of, because we live in an inverted reality. It's an inversion of, the images, right, and energies that are being projected from our spiritual antenna, and that spiritual antenna is being protected and filtered through our Merkaba, which is our auric field, which comes from our heart. So it's like working congruently together. We're like blowing out both fucking, forms of light, right? And nobody ever tells you this. They don't want you to know how it works, because then you would be able, nobody could stop you. Nobody can stop you from doing anything. You realize death is an illusion. You've lived 100 fucking times. You realize that the world don't even look the way you think it does, that your brain actually, that's why everything happens in patterns. That's why all of these secret societies and shit use symbolism, right? Because everything is actually one universal connection, right? It's all just really one energy of creation. Like I said, we're the angels, we're the demons, we're all of it, right? Higher, lower, it's all projections of us, levels of us, existent dimensional aspects of ourself, right? They don't want you to know that. But in order for us, because we are consciousness or awareness experience in itself, in order for us to comprehend or understand that experience as the fractal or the fragment of the infinite that we are, and we know that's true by the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio and all of that, right? In order for us to understand that, that's why the Bible says rightly dividing, right? That's why things are divided. That's the whole concept of a duality. You wouldn't be able to look at anything if you didn't have a fucking mirror, because it's you. You're seeing your own reflection. Everything you're seeing is your own reflection. That's why everything works with mirrors. TV, radio, it's all antennas and projection and mirrors and dishes and stuff. We're all just reflecting and projecting everything. Period. Point blank. But see, your brain is a replica, or the universe, should I say, it's a replica of your brain. So your brain is like a small version of the galaxy, right? Or a small version of the universe. If you look at like all the little waves and lines and shit, and then go look at the universe, it looks exactly the same. The two hemispheres, left and right, masculine, feminine, right? The left, the logical, is like your masculine, your persona, which does the speaking, shit like that. And then the right's the feminine, is the knowing, the intuitive, the creative, all of that, right? What it's actually doing is it's like a command center for your soul. Your consciousness is actually animating that. That's, those electrical neurons that are firing back and forth in that fucking squishy thing between your ears. That's your energy. That's your soul energy. That's your consciousness shooting back and forth, giving commands, right? At the controls, at the helm. And when you die, that's why your body decomposes, because your consciousness withdraws, right? That's why, like that, fucking however many, grams of weight, whatever, disappears when a person dies. That's the consciousness, bro. Withdrawing from you. Now, what it's actually doing is interpreting these patterns, right? So your reality, actually, our reality, my reality, your reality, we have the shared experience because of the connected ka, the higher self, or the ki, right? The higher self, right? Which is the animating spirit, and that's the animus, all of that with Carl Jung, right? Which is the breath of life that God breathed into us. That's what makes everything animate. That's the consciousness. Then we have the ba, which is the lower, the reflection, the shadow part, which is what gives it the illusion of shape and duality and density and all of that in actual physicality and creation. It's the reflection of it, of the idea of it. That's why thought, right? The universe is mind, the all is mental, right? Because it all starts with a thought, The consciousness creates this thought, right? The thought is a transmission of energy sent back and forth through the synapses of your brain, the electrical synapses firing back and forth through the different components and hemispheres of yourself, which are also a reflection of the universe. The inside of your body, from your organs to everything, reflection of the universe, a reflection of the stars, the astrological zodiacal signs, reflection of your organs, reflection of you, reflection of the universe. That's why you see all of the zodiac, all the creation stories, every mythology, everything reflects the same creation story, the same narrative, the same things, right? Because it's all a projection of you. It's all that infinite fractal or fragment just bouncing back and forth in the infinite fucking mirror eternally. There's no end to it. No end. But in order for us to comprehend or interpret this fucking infinite mirror, right, we have to create cracks in it, breaks in it, shapes in it. That's what the whole concept of the box and shit, the polygon, sacred geometry, right? The triangle was the very first shape. That's why it's the all-seeing eye. You know, at one point, creation, feminine to masculine to child, right? That's why when you summon a spirit, you put it in a triangle. You can't escape it, right? You can't escape it. That's how you keep it. You put yourself in a sphere, a circle, because it can't be broken. But you put the darker entity, you know, which is that shadow, into the angle to hold it. Isn't that strange? It's all angles and spheres, right? And then once we add, you know, put it into the circle around it, which is the fourth, you know, element, right? It becomes an actual living being. And then we put it into motion, and that's the pentagram. And that's why everything is in fives in the starfish body. And we have, you know, 5 appendages. And, you know, Jesus was crucified on the cross. He was pierced 5 times, right? Like, that's why we have 5 senses, right? That's why you see all the numbers and stuff with, like, it's either 2s and 3s, right? Triune gods, right? Or dualities. 2 brothers, male, female, left, right, up, down, right? Because it's 5, right? We have 5 digits. It's digitaria, you know? These are the sacred numbers of the universe. And that's why we have the rule of 369. 369 is accessing a dimensional experience, right? All we're doing is compounding energies and taking it up to a higher celestial sphere, a higher dimensional element or aspect of things. That way we can multiply it and compound it, right? And project it farther. That's why people like Nostradamus use mirrors and shit to scry. Or water. Water was the original scrying element. It had a reflective quality, right? We were just taking our consciousness and bouncing it on something and allowing it to blow out, right? To leave the vehicle, the spaceship that it's in. That's your spaceship. This is your UFO, right? Fucking here. This is your chariot of the god, right? This is the third temple. People don't know that, but it's true. You know, they don't want to tell you that, because if you knew that, you know everything they're talking about, and every fucking holy book you've ever read was actually talking about you. Talking about your abilities. Talking about how fucking amazing, how awesome you are. And how you're creating all of it. And it has to be divided so you can understand it and perceive it. You know? And you know why you have a limited perception of reality? Because your body can't take it all. It would blow your fucking top off, bro. It would blow your fucking top off. You know? You need those angles and shit like that. You know, to reflect it and get it a piece at a time. It is infinite creation. That's why it's called the ineffable, inexpressible, and all that in the Gnostic text. It's not, it can't be comprehended. Everything that you can ever think of to try to describe it or explain it comes from it. So there's no description of it, right? Like, how do you explain God? You know, you don't have a fucking word for it. You know, the whole Yahusha and Yeshua and Isu and Jesus and all that actually just means salvation. You know, that's what it means. When people saying Jesus didn't exist, it didn't, because it's not from the same fucking language. It's a derivation of that same original word, though. So that's, once again, people who don't have knowledge and they're stupid asses. And most of them have an agenda as well. Like I said, to attack the divine masculine because Jesus represents the patriarchy and blah, blah, blah. Go fuck yourself, stupid. Go read a book. Quit talking out your ass. You know, the divine feminine, the reason we were in a patriarchy, we were ruled by a patriarchy, and I just want you guys to truly, truly understand why. We were in a fucking masculine age. We needed the male energy. We had to have it in order to evolve forward. Without it, we would not be who we are today. Now we're in an age of Horus. It's a child. It's both. Before the masculine, that we were in, a matriarchy. It was all goddess worship, right? Why do you think they all worship goddesses and shit? And it was like so frowned upon, like by the patriarchy, Because before that, it was a feminine age. Came from the mother first, That's why if you read or listen to that Alan Watts, she's black, talking about God, she's black, right? And what he means by that is like the void of space, right? The void of space, right? The yielding nothingness, negativity, right? It's darkness. Came from the shadow first. There was a void first. Then God said, let there be light. What's that tell you? Darkness was first, bro. Ooh, scary. Evil. Right? That's some Halloween spooky shit right there. But they ain't gonna tell you that in church. They're gonna tell you to hate your darkness. They're gonna tell you that's bad. All these urges, these human urges you have are like unnatural. Give me a fucking break. You wanna fight, fuck, and do all the things you wanna do because you're a human fucking being. And you're created to do those things. Somebody tries to harm you, you want to fight them. It's called defending yourself. That's your animalistic side. You have every molecule, every animal, every plant, everything within your genetics, in your DNA. Did you know that? You are the earth. So the whole Gaia, Mother Earth, which was a primordial, by the way, is a feminine energy, right? That's what you derived from. And who was her husband? He was Uranus, right? The water god with a triton, a triune, right? Right. These are the primordial elements of space. See, they don't tell you these things because they don't want you to understand what your actual origins are. You would understand that you have been around before time existed. You are the aeons. You are the gods. You are everything. Period. They can't kill you. You want to know what a depopulation agenda is? It's for stupid sheeple, to buy into all the nonsense and the agendas and the brainwashing, the propagated mind control of the systemic oppression that they're putting down on all of us. And to get them to poison and kill off themselves and all that. Which they do. Support wars and every other fucked up agenda we have. Right? Because they know that we're entering a new age. And it's like it's the offering because they all believe in that deistic worship, energetic exchange and balance. So they're offering all of them up, for the mistakes, the fuck ups they've done to all of us. It's like, oh, here we go. Well, we're giving you this, Lord. Right? Lord, ruler, archon, right? Governor, rulers of the reality. Right? They're trying to give back to the celestial spheres, create an energetic balance as we shift into a new societal age. Because they understand how it works. That's why whenever they, what was it? Saturn Uranus square. Every time there was a lockdown. Why do you think that is? It was an astrological energy. They were playing upon the astrological energy. That's when they do their things. They base it all off of numbers too, right? Why Vladimir Putin born on the 28th, got married on the 28th, right? Does everything on the 28th because 28 is a number of money, right? Every person born on the 28th is like billionaires when you look at the elite. You know, they have C-sections for their children. That way their children can be a 11 life paths or 33 life paths. You don't think they understand this shit and know this shit? And you know what chaps my ass? Honestly, when I go on a fucking, open panel like I did that night, and I try to enlighten people to these things, and they say, what's your basis of proof and information? Well, if you shut your fucking mouth and let me speak, I'd tell you. I'd tell you. You're not going to understand it all at once, probably. It took me a fucking decade to learn this shit. And I definitely didn't understand it all at once, right? Not at all. It comes in bits and pieces. Why is that? Because we're getting this awareness, this universal light and awareness from the sun, right? The sun is a dimensional portal of the heavenly sphere, the dimension above us, right? Think of it as like a black hole inverted, right? So when you see a black hole, a star is the other version of that. The sun is like the backside of a black hole, right? So if you went into a black hole, you'd come out of a sun on the other side, a star on the other side, And I would bet you, if you went to the heavens, the next dimension up, space would be white and the stars would be black. Bet you. We'll know eventually. And it goes on and on like that, a reflective mirror always. That's why when you see like the story of Ragnarok with the Norse mythology, they say that the next sun will be a girl. Why is that? We're going to another dimension. This sun's a boy. This sun's a boy. That's why the sun correlates with men in our natural creation cycle. It's 24-hour clock, Why we can, that's why we can reload and blow a load, multiple times, right? Because that's how we produce and create. Well, some of us can. If you don't eat vegan, I don't know if it still works. But females, their cycle correlates with the moon. It's on a 28-day cycle, right? It's on a 28-day cycle, correlates with the moon. And then our longer cycles correlate with Mars and Venus, right? Men with Mars, that's what the saying of men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right? They have the longest retrograde periods astrologically. It's so fucking wild when you think about it because you're never told these things. You're never told these things. They treat you like you're an idiot, like you wouldn't be able to understand. Do you know what disclosure is, too, by the way? This is disclosure. You finding out that it's all you. That's why they'll never disclose aliens. I hope you know that. There's nothing to disclose. If there is an entity up there, I promise you, it's another dimensional version of yourself, probably fucking time traveling, Some wild ass shit like that. If you don't think like we've had this technology for a long time, think again. Look into the Great Pyramids. There's no sign of fires and torches or any of these things. Why is that? Why do they have these batteries and pictures of light bulbs on the wall? And see, they've got you buying into this whole concept, and not you in particular. I really have this genuine belief that the people that watch me are bright people, actually. I do believe that. I actually believe that. I believe that that's why you're attracted to these things. This is like the advanced course, you know. And when you're in an advanced course, you know, it's going to be smaller. You know, that used to really bother me. You know, because I had such a large audience and following on all those platforms. And it's like, what happened? It's like, well, your knowledge increased. And when it did, you know, you can't take everybody with you. You know, like everybody wasn't doing it for the right reasons. So they're not going to come along. People that just wanted the doom and gloom because they were getting a dopamine hit, you know, they're not in it for the knowledge or enlightenment or illumination. They're not in it to, you know, evolve and grow, you know. And the people that, you know, only did it for like the celebrity and to put, you know, someone on a pedestal and all that shit instead of like, you know, applying it for themselves and letting it affirm and confirm the things that they knew within, right? Their own inner compass, you know, which is what you guys do. Like they left because I didn't live up to their idea of me, you know. They should have never done that, you know. You guys didn't. You knew it wasn't about me. You knew it was about you. But you also knew it was about you in a way that you didn't get arrogant. I love that about you. So humbling, you know. When you see so many spiritual narcissist people, you know, it's like they get a little bit of knowledge and they think they know fucking everything. And it's like they can't even listen to another person speak because you know, and they forgot that iron sharpens iron, right? They forgot that, which means we're supposed to exchange ideas. We're supposed to do this right here. You know, we're supposed to gather, we're supposed to commune, fellowship, you know? We're not doing it in some fucking fraternal order where we had to, you know, cut ourselves, you know, to belong to or pay membership fees or, you know, or follow some, you know, pre made doctrine. We're actually doing it the right way here, believe it or not. And everybody comes as they are gay, straight, white, black, whatever. Luciferian, Christian, don't matter. They're all welcome. No requirement. Just be you. Don't be a piece of shit to the others. You know, be open minded. That's it. You know, share your knowledge if you have it. We want to know. We want it too. That's what we're here for. You know, that's why they discourage these types of things so much, guys. It's got nothing to do with like they're afraid we'll like grow and overthrow the system. They're not. They're afraid that we'll come together and empower ourselves to the point we don't need it anymore. And we'll realize there's no need to overthrow anything. You know, that's what they're afraid of. I swear to you. They're afraid that when we see that service to others is the highest form of service to self, we'll stop buying into their ideologies that they push on us in our algorithms. You know, the false ideas of self love, these narratives where if you give or help or, you know, like look at anything where other people are suffering, that it's going to lower your vibration and frequency and all this, that selfish, fucking spiritual, narcissist, fake, disingenuine, lying fucking bullshit. You know, if you keep buying into that, you know, they got you. You know, you're taught that you're not an individual, that individuality is all the, you know, the ego, you know. Yeah, your ego protects you, dude. You're made an individual for a reason, dude. It's a gift. True self love would appreciate that. I think it would appreciate the individual, don't you? Not be ashamed of it. When all these people say, oh, they need to do their shadow work. How do you do that if you pretend to be a fucking airy fairy light and fluffy bunhead all the fucking time? How do you do that? How does that work? How does that work if you can't even look at something with a negative vibration? How do you do shadow work that way? Please tell me how that works. They're narcissists. They're using psychological tactics to project everything back onto you. So that's why whenever you say something to one of these people, they'll be like, I'm sorry that, you feel that way and that it's something within you, da 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 da. That's always why they do that shit. Because they refuse to look at themselves. They bought into the concept that a one world system and a new world order is responsible for everything. The Illuminati, the hidden hand. You know what the Illuminati are? We are. We are the hidden hand. Well, most of us here are. They're not. They're dumbasses. But we are. We are manipulating the fucking reality right underneath everybody's nose, and they have no clue about it. Including the ones who call themselves the controllers. Go fucking write that shit down. That's the power of illumination. That's the power of enlightenment. That's the pursuit of happiness. And that's liberty. That's a triune being. A threefold being. That's a God. You know. And the tribute is its lower self, your persona, your shadow, paying homage to that higher creative source of you. That's the only thing you worship. You need to worship. You don't take no title for yourself. You're a part of all of it. You're just a piece of this inner working mechanism. Nobody sees the wheels and gears inside of a clock, but yet it still turns. That's you. That's you. That's why everything you believe reaffirms itself within your reality. If you believe you're nothing, nobody, you have no purpose, you're a piece of shit, blah, 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 no purpose, you don't. You're right. You're right. It's whatever you believe. If you believe you're holy, if your body's a sanctuary, if you believe you're powerful and that you deserve good things and that your life has true meaning to it, it does. All these people that believe they're government slaves and controlled and we're all fucked and helpless because they're going to kill us all. They're going to thin the herd. They are. Because you're so stupid, you're letting them do it to you. And you're so prideful and arrogant, you won't listen to nobody that knows how to tell you to get out of it and stop. Hold on. It's like, when you look at like occult teachings when they tell you you're a star, it's because you are. You are. You're a star. Not in like the sense of a like celebrity, which celebrity, the base word is celebrate, right? Somebody being celebrated. A star, which is a luminary, a heavenly host, it's an angel, a watcher, a messenger. It's a planet. Planet, the base word is plane, right? Plane is a level of dimensional existence or energy, right? Isn't it funny how all this works? I'm just saying. When you really look deeply into it, and the reason that says that you're a star is because you are, right? Star is just one little fractal, one little fragment in the lattice of time and space. And time is the illusion, the illusory construct in which we're confined in. And space is the dimensional reality that we use to create and exist within, spiritually, consciously. Time and space, high and low. So when all these people talk about I'm a Pleiadian star seed, they're technically right, I guess. You know, but it's not like what they think. There's nobody standing on that fucking star, no group of beings up there, like, sending you messages. your spiritual antenna, and anybody that channels, when you truly learn how to channel, like truly learn how to channel, you understand that you're just tuning into a frequency. So if you're in Pleiades, Arcturia, all of these things that these, people think, I'm not knocking them, they're just not there yet. It doesn't mean that they're stupid or dumb or evil or wrong. I used to think that years ago. I did. I was really hard on people, but it's just because I didn't understand myself. Now I know they're just on a path. It's like steps, like they're in the process still. Now they think they're a star seed and they're talking to Pleiadians, which is part of the process. And it doesn't matter how they get there as long as they're getting there. There's no right or wrong way. We're all exactly where we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to be. It's our divine will. It's our divine plan. And we can change it anytime we want to. That's what free will means. You can create any existence you want anytime you want. You don't like your life, you don't like the script to your story, fix it, change it. It's like the owner of Procter and Gamble, like back in like the 40s and shit. This is crazy too, and that would be somebody I consider an elite. So he had this like very simple practice, and this shows you how powerful manifestation is. And we would call it like scripting or storyboarding or something like that now. But what this dude would literally do is he wrote on a piece of paper, the idea of who he wanted to be, like the concept of who he seen himself as, like the owner of this large corporation, this well-dressed businessman, this intelligent, astute speaker and person that attracted money to him and all the things that he desired. And he wrote this whole story down about the type of wife he had, how brilliant his children were, how his money would be generational, the story of who he wanted to be. And he folded it up and he put it in his wallet. And he read that story every day and he believed it. And you know what happened? This is the wildest part. He became it. He became it. That's amazing to me. That is fucking amazing to me. Like it's so powerful to know, like, whatever we think we are, we are. To be or not to be, that is the question, right? You understand what they're saying now. I think, therefore I am. Which the Hebraic translation of I am is Inky. Inky is actually means the word I am at the same time. It's so weird, right? Which it makes sense, right? Like in key, right? Which is ki, ka, right? Big soul, right? Just makes sense. That's the one brother that created everybody, the one of knowledge and light and all that loved us, right? Like, and see, and now do you see why they demonize all these stories to you? That's why people attack me, because I demystify it. I demystify the shit. He's a devil worshiper. He does tarot cards and astrology. Do you see that pentagram in his living room? See that devil on his shirt? Yeah. Yeah. You know why? Because I know what this shit really means. I'm not scared of it. Matter of fact, I like it. I want to attract those type of energies into my physical reality. I attract the higher energies into my spiritual reality. I do both. I'm a human being. I would never deny that. Ever. Never deny my existence or right to be that. And never be ashamed of, being one either. At all. Why would I? Why would you? And I'll never wear one of their labels either. And let them put me in a box, a prison, and tell me who I am and what my identity is, where I belong, and all of that. I'll decide that for myself, thank you. You can call me a Satanist, whatever, I don't care. It's also a label. I'll do what I want. I'll be who I want because that's my inheritance. That's my right as a divine being, as a sovereign being. Why do you think that the most dangerous fucking thing in the world, and I promise you this, is to claim to be a sovereign citizen? Why do you think all the kings and queens and monarchs were called sovereigns? Wrap your head around that, right? Because a sovereign is royalty. A sovereign, right, has rulership and dominion over their entire self and reality and everything else. And then sovereign was born into it, right? They didn't have to go beg some fucking God for forgiveness and get on their knees and all that shit. They were born into it. And the moment they came of age, right, which I want to try to explain what that technically means, like in the tarot and in the Golden Dawn, um, the princes, queens, and kings all represent different ages as well, or stages of our development. So a king is 40. That's why it's always like 40 years in the desert, 40 days being tested by the devil, and all of that. That's part of a self-initiation, right? So 40, when you become a king, you become, or a queen, right? And that's why most of those societies and shit like that, in most positions of power back in the old days, you had to at least be 40 years old, right? Because it was like a rite of passage thing. It was an age of, kingship, sovereignty. That's what it represented. You were mature enough finally to access the mysteries, like the depth of the meaning of the mysteries. You could get your enlightenment at 33, but your mastery of that enlightenment came at 40. 7-year tribulation, right? Funny, isn't it? So when the 40 came and that kingship came, the king had the rod, the staff, just like Hermes, right? Staff. What does a staff do? It gives you dominion, a rod, dominion. It means kingship or rulership. It's power. It's phallic symbolism, right? Phallic symbolism is masculine energy. Masculine energy gives you the right to protect, to attack, right? To defend, right? Spiritually. Anything that fucks with you. That's why Luciferians and shit like that, like they can't fuck with you. Most people that practice true witchcraft, they can't do anything to you unless you do it to them first. So if you speak bad on my name, that's, you done it. You opened yourself up to me, which I wouldn't advise doing. When we give people the evil eye and we think bad thoughts about them, we did it. We opened ourselves up to them. Because what we do to another, we do to ourselves. And see, it comes back to us double. Because we didn't just do it to them, we did it to us too. So we pay double the karma. And hex, negative energy, distorted energy, can't attach to anything without karma. Right? So you have to have that distorted base energy for it to attach to a curse, a hex, to double cross you, right? That's that Judas energy, right? The one who eat, dips that bread in the water, right? The bread of life into the water, right? Will betray me, right? Because we're betraying the, Son of Man, the Christ, right? Just think about the whole story. The 12 disciples, and then Jesus, and then why in Masonry 13 is such a sacred number, and it's not on any elevators or anything. 12 zodiac signs around the sun, like, all this stuff. And I just want to tell you, too, whenever you're watching these YouTube channels that claim to be exposing the Illuminati, I want you to ask them these questions, why they never talk about these things. When they're exposing the Illuminati and they're telling you about the New World Order and they're telling you about the hidden hand and they're so fucking scared to death because a guy made a 3, which, do you know what that means, by the way? It's a mantra, right? With our digits, our hands, which means enlightenment. You take it and you take both hands actually at the center of your chest, right? And there's a word that goes with it, So, why don't you ask these people when they're saying that, right? And when they're covering their eye, right? Whichever eye they're covering is representative of the path that they're choosing to be enlightened on. When they cover that left eye, right? That's why all the celebrity left-hand path, right? But what are they seeing out of when they do it? Why was Odin blinded in one eye? They're seeing out of the right. It's like, remember the triangle too, and how that's the original shape, the angles of creation, the Trinity, the triune, right? When they do the triangle, and they put their eye in it. Now you know why. It isn't evil anymore, is it? It's not that fun when it's not. It's not fun anymore when it's not. When they're doing this and they're acting like the goat, right? To Azazel was ascribed all sin. Azazel was the leader of the Ajiji. The Ajiji were the slave race created by the Anunnaki to mine gold first that rebelled. They're the lower nature, the lesser gods, right? The goat. It's this. That's why they call everybody who's good at something the goat. And when Abraham was with God, and he was going to sacrifice his son, right? His child, age of Horus, age of the child, his spiritual child, his divine nature to this God. He was going to sell his soul. And he took him off at the last second, and they gave him a goat. Abraham. Ra. Abba. Ham. Right? Do you not see what they're doing here, guys? Israel. Isis. Isu. Ra. Elohim. Right? When you say the devil's the God for this world, it's because he is. One God, one version, the anointing, the Holy Spirit, he's in service. That's why it's thy will be done. It's in service to others, right? It's a slave. Because that's the way to true spiritual freedom, right? It's to serve the higher cause. Period, guys. That's why Jesus is like that. To sacrifice, right? Like he's living his life for everyone else, to make the world better, to help everyone else, because it's not his, it's everybody's, right? It's a higher nature. And then the God of this world, Satan, that everybody serves him, right? Because it's the physical lower nature. And it's just serving ourselves, right? Do what thou wilt. You know? And sometimes it gets really hard for me to create content. I can't lie. People want more conspiracies and shit like that. It like loses its flavor when you know the truth. Like it loses its flavor. It's an illusion. It's not real. You know what it really means. It's no longer scary. You no longer feel controlled or enslaved or a victim anymore. You just don't. You can't. You can't unsee. You can't unknow. So I'm sorry to the people that, like, John, why won't you do, Planet X videos and shit anymore? I will. But when I do, don't be upset with me when I do them this way. Please. I'm trying to help you. That's why I get so frustrated, too. I get frustrated. People think it's because I'm a greedy dickhead or something. No. No. I'm literally giving you fucking gold. Giving you like the most valuable thing on the face of the earth. And you get treated like shit by most of the people for it. And people can't even donate fucking $20 or something to help me pay for the goddamn stream and shit to get it out there. It's crazy. It's like, that bothers me. But, also at the same time, like I said, I appreciate the people that do, and I know that it's not meant for everyone. It's not meant for everyone. That's the whole casting your pearls before swine. Do we really want most of these people to have this knowledge? Ask ourselves that, guys. Do we really want all these people to be armed with this much knowledge? What would they do? These arrogant, egotistical, spiritual narcissists, what would they do with it? How arrogant would they be then if they actually knew the truth? Think about that. That's why their spirit won't even let them listen to it. And they think it's because they already know. It's funny as fuck. But no, your spirit knows you're not there yet, and you can't take it responsibly. If you knew the truth, it would only make you worse. You would only use it to harm people and yourself. Nobody gets it without earning it. I promise you that. It's never given. Every single person on the face of the earth earns this truth, earns this knowledge. I promise you that. And whether you do it by sitting here, listening to the hermit speak, and then going and meditating on it and studying it yourself, or you do it through, experiencing it in life and all of that, but you're going to earn it either way. You got to put the time in, the effort, or you won't have it. It's that simple. That's why shit like this isn't made. I do TikToks and stuff, but it's like little tarot stuff, you know? Um, TikToks ain't made for this kind of stuff. You can't give somebody like, with TikTok brain this kind of stuff. That's why they do that to us, though. So we can't hold, the information. That's why it's like the trauma-based mind control and stuff to like fractalize us and fragment us, and everybody has the memory of a goldfish. So we can't put the pieces together. That's why it's called remembering, right? Remembering. It's putting a body back together. It's the body of Christ. You know. the Christos, the anointing. We're putting all the pieces back together. That's why you'll see like really, people like Savan Bomar. He's a very brilliant person, by the way, and he knows what's up. He'll he tells his tribe wholeness, right? Wholeness, right? That's what it is. It's wholeness. It's everybody coming back together. Wholeness. You know. I mean, the grand rising and all that. I like that. I mean, that's cool, but I like wholeness so much more better because it just symbolizes so much more. You know, you don't have to rise. You're already there. You're already risen. You're already up there. You don't have to ascend nowhere. I hope you know that. You're already there. You always were. You just have to remember that's where you're at. That's who you are. That's where you're from. And you're starting to. I know you are. Like I feel it. I feel that you're remembering it now. I feel like I have like this genuine feeling of like it clicking in people, and they're like just this light turning on, and it's like, wow, like that's me. I did that. I've always been here. I've always done this. Every life. So have you. You know something wild? Every life we were together. I swear to you. We were together just like this. Just like this. Whether we were like married or brothers and sisters or friends, or we went to the same church, lived in the same neighborhood, like sat around a fire at night together. We were always together. We were always growing together. We were always learning together. We were always loving each other and helping each other and lifting each other up. I swear to you. Do you know why? Because we're the same star. That's why you're attracted to me. It's got nothing to do with intelligence or anything like that. Like people say, "Oh, you're so smart." No, yeah, right. You're so smart. You're cool to it because you recognize it. It's you. It's you. You feel it. You're like, "Oh my God, this resonates. This is true." Yeah, it is. It's your truth. This is you. That 144,000 are fractals or fragments of that same star, that same soul. We are part of that. And we always are. Every time we come here together, we live life together. We do this together. And we always have. Every era, every aeon, every incarnation, and we always will. We always will. And it's different times, different ones, Maybe in one, and we're always like teachers, Like we might not always teach, but we're always like this. We're always super aware, and we always have these gifts. Some of us are healers, some of us are teachers. Swear to you. Some of us, create tinctures and herbs, and some of us pray over people and put our hands on people. It's like we just all have these beautiful fucking gifts. Some of us know astrology, some of us know tarot, some of us use pendulums, some of us use candles and mirrors, and it goes on and on and on. Because it's like different pieces of like the same person expressing themselves in different ways to themselves. Like trying to show the other part, like trying to make the other part aware that they're the same, that they're the same thing. You know how hard that is? Like we all say we believe it, but do we really? It's like you have to really get in a high state of consciousness to feel that. to hear your own voice through everyone. To hear when a person speaks, them speaking two conversations at the same time. Both sides of themselves talking to you simultaneously. And what I'm really happy about and I'm really excited about is just like, I feel like we're getting ready to enter like a really new chapter. This year is a special year. Not be just because the Pluto and Aquarius and the astrological stuff and, the great American eclipse and all of these things, but it's like marking. It's like a marker. We have these mile markers, these markers along the way. I mean, this is where we really take a big step up. Like, I'm excited about it. I've been waiting for it. Last year was hard, wasn't it? It was hard. I had a hard year last year, didn't you? Year before, a little hard one too. This is a year where it's just like, just going to be wide open. This is the year where we really do change, like in a different way. Where at one point in time, I can even remember a couple years ago, like I couldn't even say half of these things because I just knew, like, nobody got it. And it's like now I know you're getting things I'm not even saying. Such a different thing. Such a different energy. Such a different energy. And it's beautiful. And we should all be grateful because, like this is such a gift to have this experience, to have this knowledge, to have this ability, like all of it, like we should be thanking our lucky stars every fucking day we wake up. If you have people in your life that you love, please, man, do not take them for granted. Do not take the people that love you for granted. Do not take the people that are good to you for granted. Please don't do that. You will regret it to the day you die. You will. I know this. And Lincoln, don't ever see yourself as anything less than what you are. I'm gonna wrap this one up. I genuinely, the last 10 years, it's been beautiful. It's been amazing. I genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. I'm sorry we didn't talk a whole lot about the depopulation, but I hope this explained a lot of things for you. And you know what? It truly will thin the herd. Why? Because not everybody will get it. They're not meant to. But I truly appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm just so grateful for you guys. If I could ask you to do one thing, it's to hit the thumbs up for me or the like, whatever platform you're watching on. If I could ask you two things, it would be to share the video. Like, just post on your Facebook or something. Don't care what people think. Please share this out there for me. That way people who are meant to see it, they will. And other ones, not. I'm not asking you to, like, fucking, propagate it. Say share it. That's the only way my content gets out. I'm that shadow banned. And if you have the resources, consider supporting me because I do appreciate it. And I am grateful, and it does help me so much. So the links are in the description for all that good stuff. Check out all the platforms. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. You guys have a wonderful evening.